Okay, hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and as we always did, we started on the dot, like today, like the past 4 days. And thank you very much to everyone. You're all professionals. That's why you're here on time, punctually. Um, some of you were here 15 minutes ago. That's real professionalism because punctuality doesn't mean coming just on the dot, but coming in way ahead of time so that we can uh, take a bit of rest so that we're ready for our session. And this is actually already our fifth and last in a series of 5 seminars, and some of you have been here since day one. Why don't we check on that? I know we have friends from Pangasinan. We have a lot of friends from Dagupan, from Lingayen. We have a lot of friends from Cebu and Masbate, a very big group from Masbate. And some of them are following us from one lecture hall. Thanks to Father Ian de la Cruz invitation. Thank you, Father. And who else? Great. Now we want to know anyone here first time to attend. Kindly please type in the chat box. One, if this is your first time. Two, if you've attended, this is your second seminar. Five, if you've attended all, Mr. Rogelin Bolo is completing it. This is his fifth. Fantastic. Some are three. We have a number of ones. Welcome, Stephanie. Welcome, Agustina. Welcome, Ephraim, Editha. Thank you for joining us. You missed a lot, but don't worry. We're going to rerun some of the past seminars. Jerry is completing it. This is his fifth seminar. So is Justin. Ma'am Linda, hello. I've been seeing you every day, and you've attended past seminars that I gave. So I think you've heard all my jokes already. Great, amazing. Right now we are 46 inside the Zoom room, and I think we, like yesterday, we're going to be around 65 again to 70. So great. I hope the others are able to connect with their internet at home or from the office, from the province. Anyway, so we promised we begin on the dot, and we follow that announcement. We shall begin the conference now, our seminar now. Let me see. Some people are just arriving now, and so we will have to get them inside the lecture hall, inside the Zoom room. Very well. Like what we always did the past days, we prayed to start our session, and today I'm going to start with a prayer for teachers. This is a prayer for all of you. And because we do badly need prayers during this time of the pandemic, during this time of the this kind of situation, which is abnormal. There's nothing normal, not being able to be together, really, literally together inside one hall, inside one room. Okay, so I'd like to start with this prayer offered for all of you, dear teachers.
A prayer for teachers. Giver of all wisdom and greatest of all teachers, look upon our teachers with love. Grant them the resolve to nurture our eager minds and to never give up on us who fall behind. Bless their hearts, for they rejoice when we succeed and encourage us when we fail. Endow them with gentle patience, for the path of learning is never easy. Kindle a spirit of passion in them. It is the flame that ignites the love of learning in us. Help them see the potential in each student Their belief in us means much more than the grade we make. Instill in them a commitment to keep on learning. It shows us to not fear new knowledge and experiences. Inspire them to touch the future. They influence how big a dream we dream for ourselves. Bless our teachers who have come before, for their work endures to this day. Let the light of your example shine upon all teachers, to build up with their words, to love with their mind, to share with their heart. Amen.
Okay, great. That's a prayer for all of you because we do badly need prayers. And so, as we have done the past 4 days, those of you who have been with us since day one, we've always been running to the teacher of the master teacher, Saint Joseph. And I'd like to invite you to join me in invoking Saint Joseph, the teacher of our Lord Jesus Christ. We were saying we won't be surprised, in fact, if some of the parables of Jesus he learned from his father, Joseph, or his mother, Mary, or definitely it must have been from Saint Joseph that our Lord learned courtesy, kindness, resilience, empathy, and all the other virtues you can think of. And so we also want to ask him, Saint Joseph, the terror of demons, now as we are fighting against so many demons among our students, I mean, demons of laziness, demons of pornography, demons of technology addiction, gadget addiction, we go to Saint Joseph, and I invite you therefore to join me in asking his help as we pray in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O blessed Saint Joseph, guardian of the child Jesus, we pray that you will help us in our daily troubles and tribulations as we try to pass on to our students all the teachings that they need to be able to succeed in their chosen professions. Help us to teach and help them to learn. Guide us all as you guided your most holy Son, Jesus. Obtain for us the graces we need not only to teach and to learn, but to stay on the path shown by the life of Christ. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Great. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for coming here today. Welcome. Let me introduce myself because I saw earlier there were a number first timers to join us. Let me just introduce myself very briefly. My name is Emmanuel Mann Rentoy. I've been based in Sri Lanka since last year, but because of this pandemic, I've been here in Manila since July. I was a teacher, and I continue to be a teacher of the University of Asia and the Pacific, university there in Pasig, where I teach English, Latin, um, and School of Education. Also, before going to Sri Lanka, I was connected with PAREF Northfield School, an all-boys school, and I founded a school in Iloilo City called Westbridge School. It's an all-boys school, and it's now one of the top schools in the Region 6, where I served as first executive director before moving back to my alma mater, where I finished high school, Paref Southridge, where I also served as principal of intermediate school, vice principal of high school, and religion department chair. Some of the things I'm going to share with you, I learned in my years as 15 years as teacher and officer in Southridge. But the last 11 years, I've been going around the Philippines, reaching out to teachers like you, parents, community leaders, to champion character formation, to remind everyone, let's make character formation a top priority because that's where the crisis is. That's where the problem is. And that's where our work has become more important than ever. And sometimes I do my work as the director of Center for the Fourth and Fifth Hours Asia. which is an affiliate of Center for the Fourth and Fifth Arts based in the State University of New York in Cortland, USA. And one of the things I do is to bring world experts on character formation to come to Manila to hold conferences. The biggest we've had was with Chris Stefanik and Lea Darrow with 15,000 young people in World Trade Center, listening to them talk about the beauty of chastity, purity, modesty, and uh, the grandfather of character formation in the world, Dr. Thomas Licona. I brought him 3 times already to the Philippines, and he is the head of our Center for the Fourth and Fifth Arts. That's why the certificates that many of you must have already gotten um, is signed by Dr. Licona and myself. Great. So the message we saw, very urgent, very important, this past 4 days, the first 4 days of this Teach with a Purpose series is now more than ever. This work of formation is urgent and important. Now more than ever, we teachers are very, very important. What many parents are realizing with these online classes that their children cannot come to the classroom, what they are realizing, in fact, is, ay grabe, ang hirap palang magpalaki ng bata. Ang hirap palang magturo ng bata. Now that it's the parents who have to do that at home, who have to supervise at home, who even have to discipline at home, now they're realizing, paano ginagawa ni ma'am yon? Isa lang ang inaalagaan ko, ay napakahirap na. Si Miss Linda, si Ma'am, si Teacher Andrew, 50 inside the classroom. So I hope that's one of the things the parents are appreciating more than ever. We teachers are very important, and even more so given the crisis na nakikita natin sa mga kabataan ngayon. Here are some principles. Those of you who attended in the past, you've heard these principles, but I want to emphasize them because it's these principles that will explain why I want us to do what we want to do regarding grit, resilience, and empathy. Here's the first one. Every teacher is a character formator. And I'm very happy because a few days ago, and even if now I ask you to do that, if you type on the chat box, what subject are you handling? I am so happy to see subjects like PE, PEHM, math, science, English, biology, um, social studies. Fantastic, because they too have to be character formator. It's not just the job of the GMRC teacher, religion teacher, values teacher, guidance officer. Yeah, they are working on character in a special way, but it's the job of every single one of us teachers. If you want to be a good educator, then we have to be concerned about the character of our students. It's not just about covering the curriculum, and definitely it's not just another subject. That's why I don't like to hear, some teachers will say, ay, character, bahala na si Sister Pilar dyan. Bahala na si Brother Joel, yung aming religion teacher. Yeah, but we too can form character and in fact should be forming the character of our students. We have been hired by the school not just to cover the curriculum. We've said this in the past days. I have to repeat it because it's such an important principle. We teachers are engaged in the business of enhancing lives. Okay? If somebody asks you, anong trabaho mo? Be proud to say, I am engaged in the business of enhancing lives. That's what I'm doing as a teacher. I'm not just math teacher, science teacher, English teacher. I make the lives of my students better than what they can imagine, the best that they can make of their life. That's what I teach. That's what I do inside and outside the classroom. So, our being teacher is not just being able to cover the curriculum. Our success as teachers is not just to be able to say, ang galing kong teacher, natapos ko yung textbook. Ay, ang galing kong teacher, na cover ko ang buong curriculum, ang buong syllabus. That's good, that's nice, that's essential, but that is not what we have been hired to do. The success of a teacher is to be able to say at the end of the year, ang galing kong teacher, my students are better human beings because I taught them for 10 months. Ang galing kong teacher, I made a difference in the lives of my students. Ang galing kong teacher, I have made an impact in the lives of my students. Sure, they know better math, they know better English, but more than that, they are better human beings. Here's what we have been repeating over and over. Kahit na anong topic, kahit na teaching like Jesus, or stop teaching, start evangelizing, or creating a kind and caring classroom, or kahit anong subject pa, kahit anong topic ng ating talk, we repeat this because it's the most effective strategy for teaching character. And it's also the same strategy to teach resilience, grit, and empathy through the powerful example of our life. Our students will learn professionalism in the way we come to the classroom every single day as a professional, dressed as a professional, talking like a professional, looking like a professional. We will teach kindness to our students in the way we treat them with kindness, in the way we show kindness, the power of our example. And then, please understand this, sir, ma'am, you are the most important teaching tool inside the classroom. It's not the projector, it's not the whiteboard or blackboard, or kahit Manila paper pa ang gamit mo dyan. Those are not the important things. The most important teaching tool is you and your life, the modeling that you show, the role modeling that we do for our students. And I know we have some administrators and principals here. We cannot deny this. Really, your school in the end is only as good as your teachers. Because when parents and children talk about school at home, really, they talk about the teachers. They talk about the teachers who have high standards but are understanding and caring and motivating. They talk about the how that teacher helped my son, my daughter to get out of his or her shell. And now the children are blooming. Their talents are showing thanks to the motivation of this or that other teacher. In the end, that school is only be as great as the teachers that are there. In other words, this is the bottom line. We are interested in making the students become good and do good. Become good and do good. It's not just about being experts in math and science and English. Sabi nga natin nung 2 days ago, the urgency of character formation. What does it mean? I mean, what does it matter to me if you become a genius in math pero corrupt? Ginagamit ang katalinuhan para mangnakaw, para makalamang sa kumpanya, para, well, we would have failed as teachers, as educators. Here's the problem. um, pagka ang isang lamesa, halimbawa, nasira, pag may sira, may damage, madaling sabihin, sino bang karpintero niyan? Sino bang gumawa niyan? Ibalik nga yan. Ibalik sa karpintero paayos. Pag ang computer nasira, sasabihin natin, ay nako, pa-repair nga yan, paayos. Now, if a student, if a person, If a human being grows up to be corrupt, grows up to be immoral, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin, sino bang religion teacher niyan? Ibalik nga yan, ibalik sa grade 5. Sino bang nagturo diyan ng ng respect and responsibility? Ibalik nga yan sa grade 4 values. Hindi. And this is a very important message for all of you dear teachers. Please realize this. We have one shot. We have 1 year, 10 months nga lang to make a difference in this student's life. And then they're on their own. And so let's not use it. In other words, we cannot afford to fail because failure in becoming a good educator, in impacting lives and making a difference and forming character, failure dyan has great consequences. Malaki ang consequences. The damage or also the goodness that can take place because we have formed this person not just to be good, but also to do good. Even when it is difficult, that's grit, that's resilience, that's character. Even when no one is looking, that's conscience, that's responsibility, which in fact, as we're going to see now more and more, because of the environment, the kind of environment the young people are growing up in, parang ang law, ang rule in some places is it's okay to do, it's okay to cheat for as long as you don't get caught. Uh, in some places, para bang yun ang nangingibabaw na what dictates the life of some people. It's okay to cheat for as long as you don't get caught. It's absurd. And sadly, we have politicians who we know what is happening. We know corruption. We don't need to read them in the headlines. We've read too many reports in the past. But this is it. If we can raise these young people to do good and be good, even when no one is looking, we would have re-transformed. We would have changed a society, even when others are not. Because the reason why we're talking like this is because alam natin, you and I know, we don't have to deny it, and we don't need a research to show it, may crisis in society today. With all the headlines we read about of murder, of rape, of stealing, of corruption, of billions of pesos still unaccounted for in a government agency, all these tell us that there is a crisis. And then, nung day 2, pinag-usapan natin, teachers, let's step up our teaching skills, our effectiveness, kasi the evil sowers, the sowers of evil are, wow, stepping up their campaign to sow immorality. And I mentioned to you, it's important that you know this. There are people, for example, right now, who want to take advantage of this 500th anniversary of the Christianization of the Philippines to push legalization of divorce, legalization of abortion, legalization of same-sex marriage. I mean, it's absurd, but it's almost like sampal sa muka, sampal sa atin, Catholics who have been the only ones standing up and speaking up to defend life, to defend family, to defend marriage. No wonder Pope Francis needed to call on Saint Joseph at this time of the history of mankind. We need the father of the house to step in and put things in order. Di ba ganyan ang ginagawa ng mga tatay minsan? Pagdating ng tatay sa bahay, suddenly si bunso, tahimik na, hindi na umiiyak. Suddenly everyone has to put things in order. So then, let's talk about character formation, forming resilience, grit, and empathy. Through history, three great social institutions have shared the work of shaping character. Home. Sabi nga nila, home, the family is the first school of virtue. Dapat daw, bago pa pumasok ng eskwelahan, ng kindergarten, itong batang ito, dapat sa bahay daw natutunan niya na ang hard work, respect, courtesy, yung greeting good morning, good afternoon, yung being kind, not fighting with your friends. Sa bahay, dapat natutunan ng batang yon. Those of you who have been inside the classroom for the last, like me, I'm on my 34th year as a teacher, we have seen more and more students coming inside our classroom. Hindi nila alam ang ibig sabihin ng hard work. Mag-a-announce ka pa lang ng assignment, nakasimangot na, nagrereklamo na, mainit na ang ulo. We know we have students coming inside their classroom, parang they don't know how to deal with other people. They bully, they put down, they tease, they hurt others, they harm others. Teka muna, kala ko ba dapat natutunan na nitong batang ito sa bahay? That is at the source of many of the crises we see in society today. Home is not, in some homes, in some houses, character is not being taught, and there is a failure of passing on of values in some houses. Not all, because I have also seen fantastic human beings entering my classroom, thanks to the parents, thanks to the mother, the father who knows how to discipline. And second, tayo, school. Tayo raw. We are the ones in a position to shape character, to mold minds, to prepare these young people to be the next generation of leaders. Therefore, what I'm saying is, if we are seeing more and more corrupt politicians, not all of them are corrupt, we know. Pero the headlines of the days keep on telling us meron in one agency of another, in one city, province, or another, merong corruption. It's about time that we teachers sit down and ask the question, what could we have done? What else can we do so that the next generation of leaders, of congressmen, of governors, of mayors, of senators are men and women of character who will always choose to do the right thing, the moral thing, the respectful thing, and the responsible thing. It's about time we ask ourselves, what can we do? Well, we can do a lot. As you're going to see today in this seminar, I'm going to share with you many strategies. As what we did yesterday, ang dami niyong pwede palang gawin to foster kindness, to create a kind and caring school and kind and caring classroom. And then religion is there. The religion is there, but again, ang problema is we have people who are deliberately out to discredit the church, to discredit especially the Catholic Church, which is the only one that consistently stands up to corruption, speaks up against abortion, contraception, the travesty of marriage, which is supposed to be sacred. It's only the Catholic Church that consistently speaks up. Kaya naman, you have powerful groups, pharmaceutical companies that produce condoms and contraceptives. They are pouring in a lot of money to try to discredit, especially the Catholic Church, to discredit the cardinals, the bishops, the priests. Ba? Kaya naman, magbabasa ka ng newspaper, bakit parang ganun? 90% ng balita tungkol sa mga pare at sa simbahan, parang tungkol sa pedophile cases, corruption sa Vatican, yung no. Me, personally, 99% of the priests I personally know are holy, saintly. Sure, there are some, as we read in the papers every now and then, who have committed grave mistakes and even grave offenses. and they should be made to pay for it. They should be given consequences or sanctions for it. Pero 99% are good, holy, and even sacrificing. So that's why I took the pains of um, packaging this seminar series for teachers of Catholic schools, because especially this year, we have a special role, a very special role to play, especially at this point in the time of our history when we need to face the crisis head on. The family is the first school of virtue, but there's something special about the Filipino families. You are aware of the 11 million Filipinos working abroad, OFWs. And most of them are heroic people. They are heroic. They decided to work abroad in order to give their family a better life. It's a big sacrifice on their part, but they do it out of love for their family. Pero ang problema is, sino ngayon ang magdidisiplina o nagdidisiplina ng bata sa bahay? Lalo na't kung the mother may be very busy and the son now is in front of the computer the whole day. Ang excuse niya is, may online class kami, may online project eh. Now it's very difficult. Hindi mo na alam kung is he really doing work, or is he surfing the net, or is he just watching Netflix, or is he just watching YouTube, or gumagawa ng TikTok, or nagpo-post sa... We cannot tell anymore kasi kulang ang supervision. Why? Because the father is not there, the mother is not there. So, we salute the OFWs who are sacrificing a lot, but at the same time, you and I know sometimes the absence of the parent or parents is at the source of the problem in character, the problem in behavior, the problem in discipline that we see inside the house. So, we have to help the family, we have to collaborate with them. Many of you are parents, you have children, and you know too that it has become harder to be a parent these days. It's harder to raise children these days. Society has changed. Families have changed. The barkada, the peer group, has changed. All these, have made parenting harder, more challenging than ever before. So, teachers, if you want to be successful in your task as educators, as character formators, we need to partner with the families. We need to get the parents to collaborate with us. Hand in hand with family, school, religion, the strong force of the formation given by our faith, we will be able to still raise good people, children of character. But we just have to be more vigilant and more intentional. Hindi natin madadaan sa tsamba. Uy, nagkataon, bumait yung bata. We have to be now more vigilant. Vigilant against the pornography that the kids are exposed to. Yan. For those of you who are parents, let me give you one idea I always give when I deliver the module on educating the digital generation. Parents, please don't give your child his own computer or tablet with that strong Wi-Fi inside your house, and he can actually lock himself up in his room, and you don't know what websites he is visiting. When he opens a pornographic site and you are not aware of it, it's like he is inviting visitors to come into his room without your permission. Visitors including prostitutes, criminals, murderers, drug addicts. I mean, you good parents are very strict about the people you let inside your house, right? I mean, you're not just going to invite over someone who is going to be a bad example to your son, to your daughter. Oh, Eh din bakit mo siya pinapayagang mag-imbita ng kung sino-sino lang sa loob ng kwarto niya, giving him his own strong internet connection and his own gadget. So, have rules, house rules about the use of the gadgets. For example, kung talagang kailangang mag-online for classes, use the computer. And that computer is in the living room or is in the corridor. It's in the public area, not in his bedroom, which he can use at 2 a.m. and go online and invite over the prostitutes, the drug addicts, the criminals, the murderers, the rapists. I mean, this is common sense. Pero ako personally, nagugulat ako. May mga ganong pamilya. They give their children their own signal, Wi-Fi signal inside their room and their own gadget, and many troubles happen. You start wondering now, nagtataka ka, bakit yung anak ko laging antok na antok? Eh syempre, nagbi-video game until 3 a.m. Hindi. Tiningnan ko, sinek ko kagabing mga 10 o'clock, natutulog na siya. Bumangon siya ng 12. And he was playing 12 to 3 a.m. I mean, really, not all kids are like that, but many kids are like that. And many problems I've been seeing inside the classroom rooted in that. They have been equipped by their parents with the gun to shoot themselves in the head. I mean, really, this idea of responsible use of technology is something new. We need to educate the young people about this. Unfortunately, for some parents who don't even know how to use the email, they're not aware of this. Talaga? Pwede ka na palang manood ng sine sa cellphone lang? Oo, nandun na yung Netflix. 24/7, may access siya sa all movies, including the X-rated movies, the R18 movies that are available there, because they are available there if the parents don't know how to use the parental control, the filter, the this responsible use of technology is something new for all of us. So that's why the title of our talk is Three Essential Virtues for the Digital Generation. We need this. First, we need to understand saan nanggagaling itong mga kabataan ngayon who are immersed in technology, who do not know a world without cell phone. That's your students now. They cannot imagine a world without computer. And for this, we have to be countercultural. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Think of ano ang kultura ng mga kabataan ngayon. Okay, ang kultura ng mga kabataan ngayon is more of them accept pornography as a natural thing, and therefore some of them don't even find anything wrong with being exposed to pornography. Worse is because some kids are exposed to pornography even at the young age of 10 years old or even younger. Kasi ganun ang pornography ngayon, ano? One click of the button in the internet, uy, pwedeng lumabas yan. Very different from my culture. When I was younger, pornography was not a very big thing, a very big problem, because if a person wanted to get hold of pornographic magazines, for example, uy, ang alam ko nun, many of them would go to Green Hills to buy the imported, expensive, very expensive, glossy magazines. They're not as easily accessible. But today, in one click of the button, let's mute the others. In one click of the button, a kid, a grade 1 kid, can be exposed to the most damaging, harmful, visual, erotic, pornographic image. That's the kind of culture the young people are exposed to. You go to Spotify. Spotify, go to global charts, the top songs from all over the world, and many of the songs in top 20 nakasulat explicit lyrics. Explicit lyrics because it talks about sex, it talks about lovemaking, it has profanity, bad words, F word and S word, and that is what the young people are exposed to. That becomes their culture. We talked about that yesterday. We need to create a kind and caring classroom because out there is unkind and uncaring. Media, social media is fostering a certain culture of hatred with all the rantings, with all the viral bashing, and not only hatred, but also vulgarity. That's the culture. We have to go against the culture and then create and safeguard this Christian culture that we have, that we grew up in. Where, naalala nyo, nung bata ako, sa San Beda College, pag nag-ring yung anong tawag dito, yung kampana at 6 p.m., everybody would stop to pray the Angelus. Everyone. In some cities, in some provinces, ganon. Pag kampana ng 6 o'clock in the evening, everyone stops to pray the Angelus. That's not anymore the culture that we see in the world today in many places. Thanks to SM, in many SMs, they play the Angelus at 12 noon. So everybody stops. They request the shoppers to pause for a while to pray the Angelus. In other words, our objective really, we want the young people to have grit, resilience, and empathy because we want them to have big hearts, to be kind, to be caring, to be respectful, responsible, men and women of character. And so, what we mentioned earlier, the first step, sabi ni Michelle Borba, in teaching moral intelligence is by being a moral example. Let me stop screen sharing to remove the dots on the screen. And then we are ready to start now the first of the three virtues. This is the virtue of grit. Okay? But as a way of starting it, I'd like to share with you this Jollibee commercial. Uh, si Eileen, ano yan? I saw the name of the person who does that. um, this is a Jollibee commercial. They are not our sponsors. It's just that they have fantastic videos that move the heart, that talk about, that can encapsulate, that can summarize the point about grit. And so this video is for all of you.
Joey anak, makinig ka mabuti. Kunin mo yung rose, tapos ikalat mo yung petal sa sahig. Lagyan mo hanggang dun sa may pinto. Yung mga lobo, dapat red. Isang dosena, ha? Yung chicken joy, puro tayo dapat, ha? Huwag mong kalimutan, favorite yan ni mama. Oh, kunin mo na yung bouquet. Hindi kumpleto pag wala yan.
Ma?
Hi, Han. Happy Valentine's Day. Sorry, wala ako dyan. Hindi na ako umabot eh. Han, sorry. Ipinili na kita kay Joey. Siya na rin ang Valentine's date mo.
Happy Valentine's Day, Ma.
Gusto ko masaya kayo. Lagi niyo isipin, mahal na mahal ko kayo.
Kain na tayo, Ma.
Okay? Huwag nyo nang iyakan kasi chicken joy lang yan. Okay? Pero very beautiful message. Sure, we will encounter difficulties and trials and hardships, even deaths of loved ones. But with grit, we will move on. We will persevere. We will continue forging ahead. Angela Duckworth has become very popular because of her best-selling book on grit, making people realize na, ay oo nga, grit pala is more crucial than ever before because there's crisis precisely of the opposite of grit. And so this is how she defines grit, passion, and perseverance for very long-term goals. And it has 5 characteristics according to her book, and it's good to go over them. And you are going to see these are the 5 things precisely that are in crisis because of the kind of lifestyle of the digital natives, of the digital generation. Unang-una, halimbawa, courage. Yan. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. We looked at it these past 2 days. Bakit ang daming cases of depression? Bakit dumadami ang cases of suicide? What's wrong? They don't know how to face the difficulties that come their way. They don't know how to face the hardships. Here's one problem. I know many parents. I am aware of some parents whose parabang main objective in life is to shield their children from the hardships that they, the parents, themselves went through. Parabang yung mindset na hindi kailangan pagdaanan ng anak ko ang aking mga paghihirap. Ayaw ko na daanan ng aking mga anak yung aming pinaghirapan dati, yung dati na wala kaming baon, yung kulang ang aming pagkain, nagugutom kami, hindi kami, I don't want my children to experience that. And for them, that is being good parents when they are able to shield their children from the hardships they themselves went through. And they feel successful na sila if they are able to give their children a better life than what they experienced. Now, that's good actually. That's noble and that's a fantastic objective. But to safeguard them or to rather to shield them from difficulties, hardships, trials, that's not preparing them for real life. Because real life, as you and I already have seen and as we know, as sure as the sun will rise, there will be difficulties, there will be problems, there will be conflicts, there will be misunderstandings. As sure as the sun will rise, there are those difficulties that will come our way. Eh ano na ngayon ang gagawin ng mga bata pag in their life they meet, kaya pala, now we read news about student nag-suicide. Bumagsak kasi sa kanyang entrance exam sa dream school niya. This is not made up. 2 days ago, I think, it was one of my slides, that headline that talked about a teenager who committed suicide precisely because she did not pass the entrance exam of her dream school. Or, nabasted sa pag-ibig. Gusto na magpakamatay. And you know of many cases like that, teenagers who get depressed. Why? Kasi nakipag-break sa kanya yung boyfriend, yung ka-MU niya. Eh, teka muna, there are 7 billion people in the world. Isa lang yan. Tapos ang pangit pa. Hindi naman maganda. Hindi naman gwapo. I mean, of course, you cannot say things like that when the person is depressed and suicidal and all. Pero that's the reality of it. Uh, Biglang suddenly, pag nakipag-break ang boyfriend, ang feeling nila is it's the end of the world. Uy, courage! Come on. Um, Grit. Don't give up. That's just one more lesson to face. It's not the absence of fear, it's the triumph over it. Conscientiousness. One of the, well, okay, let's get to know first what it means. Conscientiousness, being thorough, careful, or vigilant, attentiveness to details. I'll give you a very clear example of paano ang technology has changed the mindsets of many young people today. Nung bata ako, when I was doing my thesis in UST AB journalism, later on AB literature, when I was studying in UST, I was writing my thesis using the typewriter, 1989 or 1988 to 1989. I was using the typewriter. And my thesis advisor was very strict. Bawal ang erasures, bawal ang madungis na papel. Kaya pag nakalampas na ako sa half of the bond paper, kinakabahan na ako kasi one mistake and you will have to repeat all over again the whole page. I had to be very careful about letters, spelling, details. Not the kids today. They can have 1,000 mistakes on a page. Backspace lang yan. Delete lang yan. Cut lang yan. Clear. Or, hindi pa nga ganun eh. Ay, i-spell check ng Word yan, ng Microsoft Word. Ay, okay lang yan. I-correct, autocorrect na ng Microsoft Word yan. So, technology, while it's making life so comfortable and so convenient, is not training the young people in attention to details, conscientiousness. In fact, the other problem we have about conscientiousness is, sabi ng research, the brain of the young people today, the brain of the digital generation has been rewired to be able to do things simultaneously, multitasking. In fact, unitasking bores them. Boredom. Don't you notice? You hear more and more of that coming out of the mouth of young people today. I'm bored. It's boring. This is boring. They get bored easily, especially pagka unitasking. So, conscientiousness, being thorough, careful, vigilant, attentive to details is something that is affected. They need grit more than ever. Perseverance. The art of waiting. Some people say the ability to wait is one thing that many young people today, the digital natives, are not able to develop. Yung working on something for a long time, kailangan papalit-palit. It's hard for them to persevere. I know a teacher, for example, and this, many of us have witnessed this probably in your own school, a teacher who applies and then is accepted. And then 1 month later, uy, nawala na, hindi na bumalik ng eskwelahan. Walang text, walang email, basta bigla na lang naglahong parang bula. Why? Kasi ayaw na niya. Nabore na siya sa pagtuturo. He doesn't find teaching challenging or exciting anymore as he thought it was. Ano yan? Didn't you sign a contract? Didn't you commit yourself? Wala ka bang sense of commitment? uh, that you are going to subject yourself to the laws and rules of the company, of the school. And worse is this teacher I know, uh, he only connected again with the school many weeks later just to tell them na uh, medyo nag-change of plans siya, na family business na lang. Eh, paano yung pinirmahan mong kontrata? Asan ang commitment doon? So, perseverance is part of grit to start and continue steadfastly on the path towards any goal you see. That is a virtue, and it's a characteristic. It's one of the five characteristics of grit, and it's in crisis among this generation of people. Kaya yung computer games ay kailangan may sense of victory in almost every step para to encourage him to continue on with the different levels. And dapat pahirap ng pahirap. At saka dapat yung rewards are more and more immediate, then they will persevere. But life is not a computer game. Life is not a computer game. So get used to sticking it out even if it seems monotonous. Same procedure day after day after day. That's perseverance. Resilience. Although we are going to cover it also as a separate topic later on. But yeah, it is one of the characteristics of grit, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And sabi natin kanina, there are difficulties. As sure as the sun will rise, there will be difficulties. And so their ability to bounce back, resilience, is very crucial. And then the fifth is this, passion, a deep sense of purpose. Kaya naging bestseller yung purpose-driven life. Kasi ito yun, if people don't get to discover their purpose, if they don't see any uh, purpose in what they are asked to do, they're not going to put in passion there. But people with grit, they put in the passion, they put in their heart in what they're doing, and they see this as, well, what their contribution to humanity. And this, by the way, teachers, is one thing that differentiates us from the other professionals. It's very easy. It's much easier for a teacher to discover that purpose and therefore for us to put in our passion. Kaya meron kayong mga teachers who stay on in the teaching profession for decades and will never give up because the passion of forming minds, molding character, changing lives, that is a very deep purpose, and it's a very meaningful one. Okay, very quickly, here are 7 ways that you can help the kid, your student, your child, your younger brother develop grit. Here's the first one. Ignite their passion. Let them discover what it is. So how do you do that? You're the parent. Take them to see or do something they've never done before. Whether it is a simple thing as, I don't know, fishing, a sport, a hobby, or a talent, a skill that you yourself have that you want to teach to your kid, to your child, to your students. Do the new activity with them, and then after finishing the activity, ask, how did they like it? Chances are, if they like it, they might start discovering that is where their passion lies. That is something they want to do as well in their life. That's why the absence of parents is deeply ruining the growth, the maturity of young people, because many times it's through the parents that this passion is passed on, this purpose is discovered. Here's a second one, teach them self-control. Then they will have grit. Self-control by asking them to pay attention to how their emotions feel Have them practice breathing slowly during a stressful situation. Let them practice slow breathing every day so they're ready for stress. Because life is stressful, as you know it very well. Kala natin with this work from home, uy, and finally, we can be more rested. No need to catch the tricycle. No need to ride the jeepney na nagsisikip ka. Yung FX na pang tatluhan lang talaga dapat yun, pero apat ang sinisiksik. Stress out ka. Pero hindi. Work from home is also stressful din pala. Why? Because you're at home and you are expected to still be the one to cook and wash the dishes and clean the house. Nasa bahay ka eh. And at the same time, nandyan ang kailangan mong check on na modules, nandyan yung kailangan mong gumawa ng unit plans for the next quarter. So effectively, work from home simply means work from home while doing still the house chores. Naging doble ang ating trabaho. At least kung nasa eskwelahan ka, of course, nasa school ka, hindi ikaw ang kailangan magsaing. Hindi ikaw ang kailangan magwalis at maglinis ng bahay. Nasa school ka eh. Pero hindi, now both are expected of us. That makes it even more stressful for some people. This is what's causing some people to demand for a academic break, for a freeze. Let's have 1 week of nothing online, nothing mental health break, mental wellness break. Some universities call it. But self-control is at the root of that. Warn them to expect setbacks. Sabi nga natin kanina, as sure as the sun will rise, there will be challenges, there will be difficulties. Explain to them that setbacks are natural. And most of them, if not all of them, are really temporary. Help them. Develop grit in them by helping them sort out those setbacks. Pick one that they're currently dealing with, and then together brainstorm solutions on how you can possibly find solutions to this setback. Narrow down the options to top 3 actionable ideas, and then you yourself share with them, how did you do it? How did you overcome a setback, a difficulty, a failure? A setback sometimes is a failure. And we need to remind the young people, failure is not bad. I mean, failure sometimes is the best teacher. And it is from failure that sometimes in the past, we turned out to be successful. It's because of that failure that we decided, we committed ourselves, I'm going to make things better. Make a plan together. Work with them. Work with the young ones. That's why, in all my years as a teacher, I always accepted the task of either being a moderator of the student council or starting my own club and having a group of officers to train. Because, for example, doing project management is one of the best things that we can teach young people to prepare them for life, not just to prepare and to pass a test or a unit test or an exam, but to be successful in life. In project management, one of the things we teach the kids is to foresee possible problems, possible difficulties that will crop up, and therefore we think of possible solutions or possible things we put in place para hindi lalabas yung problemang yon. Like in student council projects, sasabihin namin, possible problem, baka hindi approve ng administration, ng management. Okay, so what can we do so that the management will want and will like this project, and therefore it has better chances of approval. Baka ang problema, kulangin tayo sa budget. Good. Then pag-aralan natin, how can we get sponsorships? How can we get donations? How can we lower the cost of our expenses? This is something that the young people will need, not just for college, but for the rest of their life. Planning, looking forward, foreseeing possible problems, and putting in place possible solutions already. complement effort. And we teachers, sometimes we can be sparing in our compliment. We have to realize that sometimes, halimbawa, ang estudyante magbibigay ng project and it's not great, it's not good, okay, but try to stop a bit and think, pinagtrabahuhan niya pa rin to. Nagpuyat pa rin siya eh. And there was still effort. It's just that some standards have not been met, but let's compliment the effort that he put in. And then we give advice on how he can make it better so that it can get a passing grade, so that it can meet our standards, but not to immediately put down or yung sarcastic remarks. You know, we teachers have to make sure we don't use sarcastic remarks. Yung, ano yan? Anong sinasubmit mo? Parang basura. Yung ganyan, ano? And then tawanan yung buong class. And kala natin, uy, nakakatuwa ako. Hindi tayo nakakatuwa, nakakainis. That student is just growing up to be very full of resentments. Complement effort. And then, finally, you want them to have grit, tell them to stick to what's really important. And what is really important? That that they do their work responsibly, honestly, that they are not cheating, that they're not lying, na pag nilagay nila ang pangalan nila doon, they really did that. I heard these days, this is the problem in some houses. Especially houses ng mga students who are running for honors, valedictorian, salutatorian. Ang gumagawa ng module daw nila is may tulong sa nanay, may tulong sa kapatid. Kasi sama-sama ang buong pamilya, pinagtutulungan, they want to retain the valedictorian status of their son, of their beloved daughter, of the beloved sister. And then magsasubmit ng module, nakasulat ang pangalan niya doon. That's lying. Hindi ikaw ang gumawa niyan 100%. 40% lang dyan ang ginawa mo. So what is important is that we keep on telling them to stick to what is important, what is true, what is upright, principles, character, morals, ethics. These are 7 ways that we can develop grit in them. Sorry, there's one more, which is to show them how to take care of their body and mind so that we don't have to deal with these depressed young people who are suicidal and they think of ending their life just because they get into problems. One of the things here mentioned is please ensure that they get enough sleep. Yan. Because sleep is very important for their health, for their mental health, and for their physical health. And yet, research says itong generation of young people today sometimes can be described as the sleep-deprived generation. Sleep-deprived generation. Kulang sa tulog. Ang henerasyon na kulang sa tulog. It's true because ako nung bata ako, tatatlo lang ang television stations. And they all sign off at 10 in the evening. Kaya tulog na kami. But not your students today. Not the kids today. They can wake up at 2 a.m. Nandyan ang more than 1 billion videos in YouTube. And millions of TikTok, quick, short videos. And the videos in Facebook. That's why we have to emphasize to them, sleep is very important. You have to take care of yourself so that you don't have to reach a point where you start getting exhausted, exasperated, depressed, and etc. Let me just clarify. Of course, depression is a very, very complex issue. It's not just because kulang sa tulog. It's not just because nag-i-internet lagi. We admit it's a complicated thing. Pero we might as well put in all these safety nets, kumbaga, so that they don't fall into it. Okay, you're ready for resilience? We go to the second, resilience. And as we did with grit, I'd like to introduce the virtue through Jollibee commercial. This is for all of you.
Tagal kong hinintay ang araw na to. Hindi para tumanggap ng mga medalyang to. Gusto kong ibigay ang karangalan sa taong nagdala sa akin dito. Ma, narito ako ngayon dahil sa walang katulad mong pagmamahal. Yung pagmamahal na kayang isin ng pagod, mapagtapos lang ako. Yung pagmamahal na kayang tiisin ng sariling gutom, ibigay lang ang gusto ko. Yung pagmamahal na kayang itago ang lungkot para maging masaya lang kami. Yung kayang sabihin, okay lang lahat, huwag lang bumigat ang loob ko. Alam kong hindi naging madali para sa'yo. Ma, mula nang mawala si Papa, ikaw na tumayong mama at Papa ko. Kinaya mo ang lahat-lahat dahil nangako ka sa akin ng guping yun.
Joey, anak, kakayanin ko ang lahat para sa iyo.
Kaya nga, alam kong sasabihin mo sa akin proud ka. Pero mas gusto kong sabihin sa lahat na mas proud ako sa mama ko.
Okay? Huwag nyo nang iyakan. Chicken joy lang yan. Chicken joy. Pero yan ay para rin sa lahat ng teachers na handang gawin ang lahat para sa kanilang mga estudyante. And I know many of you parents are like that. You sacrifice a lot because of your family, because of your love for your family. And so you are resilient kasi ganun ang pagiging teacher, ano? Ang dami natin pinagdadaan ng mga pagsubok, paghihirap. Yan. Minsan kahit anong hirap na gawin mo, kahit anong sakripisyo mo, tapos magkakaroon ka ng estudyante who couldn't seem to care less naman. Na parang ang tigas ng ulo, parang hindi matuto-tuto. And that's when we, more than ever, have to have grit and resilience and empathy if we are to make a difference in the life of that person. Let's not give up on any one of them. That's a very important point I need to emphasize. What we have to do, teachers, is not to give up on our students, including that student who gets into your nerves. Don't give up on that person. Let me tell you a personal, well, it's a story. You know, di ba dati pag sinabi mong, John, sit down, uupo ng tahimik agad si John. Pero meron akong isang estudyante dati. Pag sinabihan mo, Jay, can you sit down? Aba, si Jay, titingin sa'yo ng masama. Parang siya pa yung galit. Para bang sabihin, ba't akong laging pinag-iinitan mo? Parang ganyan, ano? You have students like that, di ba? Yung minsan pagpasok mo ng classroom, you look around and you realize, uy, wala si Jay. It's gonna be a great day today. Yung ganyan. Yung parang tuwan-tuwa ka dahil absent yung pasaway na estudyante. Well, including that kind of Jay, please do not give up on that kind of student. Pero napansin ko itong si Jay, Aba, pinakikinggan siya ng kanyang mga estudyante. Students, his classmates listen to him. Halimbawa, pag sinabi ko sa class, please bring old newspapers para meron tayong panlaban sa school paper drive. Competition eh. Please naman, bring kayo ng papers. Walang magdadala. Pero pag si Jay tumayo ng harap ng classroom at sabihin, hey guys, bukas newspapers, bugbugin ko kayo pag wala kayong dala. Aba, nagdadala lahat. Nananalo kami. The biggest collection of newspapers for the newspaper drive. Meron siyang leadership quality. So one day, I called JJ, come here. I'm going to put up a campus organization, a club. Tapos ikaw ang gagawin kong president. We will call it Organization for Student Empowerment. Yan, Organization for Student Empowerment. Tapos ikaw, Jay, ang gagawin kong president. Here's what we do. Let's do this. Pili ka ng 5 of your best friends inside the classroom, from your classmates, 5 of them, whom you can work with. Tapos, organize tayo ng leadership seminar. Di ba may bahay kayo sa Batangas? Sabihin mo naman sa tatay mo, pahiram ng bahay niyo sa Batangas. Doon tayo mag-leadership seminar. Okay? I'll give a talk on project management, leadership, ganyan. Tapos, let's make strategic plan. Let's plan activities for the year. Yan. Tapos sabihin mo sa tatay mo, siya na rin magpahiram ng sasakyan. Tapos sabihin mo sa tatay mo, siya na rin magbigay ng pagkain natin para. And that's what we did. We had a leadership seminar in their house in Tagaytay. His father provided a food, ganyan. And I'm glad I did not give up on Jay. I'm happy. Now I can say, thank goodness I did not give up on Jay, even if it was easy to give up on a pasaway student like that. Because Jay is Jay Suarez, who just finished his 3rd term as governor of Quezon Province, and he is on his 2nd term as congressman of Quezon Province. In other words, the message I need to get to you, teachers, is inside your classroom. Inside your classroom, there are some people there who someday are going to be powerful, influential. We have to form them to be good people, to be men and women of character, because someday many people will be counting on them. And if we form them well, then they can do a lot of good in society, in the world. So resilience, that they don't give up the power to be able to recover readily, especially from adversity or challenges or difficulties. The ability to bounce back, or sometimes it can be defined also as adapting to hardships and setbacks in life. Whatever it is, like yung kwento ng Jollibee that we just watched. Namatay si tatay, that's not the end of the world. It's going to be very, very tough now, raising the kid as a solo parent, but resilience. She bounced back, she adapted to the hardships and setbacks in life. It's an art. That's why we have to keep on thinking about it and studying how we can be more and more resilient. Or it can also be defined as this: normal development kahit difficult conditions. Like what we find ourselves in right now, this pandemic. Alam mo yung complaint ko dati sa henerasyon ng mga kabataan before, ng mga 90s, ang problema sa kanila is they don't know world war, experience being in a world war. They were not alive during that time. They don't even know how it is to live under martial law, for example. Under martial law. I experienced it. I was a martial law baby, and grade 6 years old ako nung martial law was declared, and I grew up being brainwashed into thinking that that government was the best government in the whole wide world and the Philippines was paradise. And I only woke up in 1983 nung biglang namatay si Ninoy, and then suddenly everyone is talking about liberty, freedom. And yeah, doon ako nagising na, oo nga, ano, magta 20 years na to, itong presidente. Ay, isn't that dictatorship? Ay, bawal magsalita against the government, bawal magsulat against the government. That's against freedom. Wala pala kaming freedom. Para bang doon lang ako nagising, ano? And all the while, I was raised, brainwashed into singing the Bagong Lipunan hymn. And I was like, so, young people of the 1990s, they didn't experience that. They didn't experience a EDSA revolution and having to fight for your freedom and democracy. They didn't experience. Maybe some of them already witnessed Pinatubo explosion, eruption, and so and then seeing so many people being left homeless and suffering. Okay, pero after that, wala na. It was almost like the kids are becoming self-entitled, privileged, because they have never experienced hardships. And then this pandemic happened. Now they're beginning to see what it means to live in a situation like this, which is not normal, which is not easy. It's a difficult condition. That's why they are, hopefully, this pandemic is teaching the young people resilience to still continue developing normally, even in difficult conditions. So resilience is both an outcome and a process. It's an outcome because it will make the young people strong, able to face hardships. But at the same time, teka, let's mute. Um, at the same time, it's a process. Yung pinagdadaanan, let me just turn off your video. Sorry. Okay. And then, what else? Resilience, part of the qualities which cushion a vulnerable child from the worst effects of adversity in whatever form it takes, and which may help a child or young person to cope, survive, and even thrive in the face of great hurt and disadvantage. Because men and women of character, this is what we've seen. Some of them rose to the occasion. Some of them precisely became like that precisely because of the hardships they went through, because of the trials that they had to endure. That's resilience. So we need to remind the young people, kalma lang. All this will pass. I mean, wala itong pandemic. I would say this is even nothing compared to what we went through during the Ondoy, for example, what many families had to endure during Ondoy. This pandemic is nothing compared to on day one. On the first day of this 5-day seminar, I talked about the history of the rosary, and I mentioned the Black Death of the 14th century, where 25 million died in Europe, 75 million died worldwide because of that even worse pandemic. Walang sinabi itong COVID. So, how come? Resilience. Those people managed to recover even with the millions of deaths. This too shall pass. Research tells us that resilient children are better equipped to resist stress and adversity, cope with change and uncertainty, and to recover faster and more completely from traumatic events or episodes. So, that's what um, that's in short what resilience is. Never give up in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the trials. Here are 3 factors that ensure that the kids can develop resilience. At least one, secure attachment relationship. Kaya even a single parent is capable of raising a man or woman of character with resilience. If that one single parent does the job well. Of course, it's harder, it's more challenging, but he can, she can. That's why, we shouldn't immediately judge or look down on a single parent because they are living a more challenging life than normal. And some of them, many of them are successful in doing what they do as parents. Number two, access to wider supports such as extended family and friends. And this is one of the strengths of Philippine family setup. We have sometimes three generations under one roof. The lola is there, the parents are there, and then the apo, all living under one roof. In the US, iba na ang kultura, no? When the parents get old and the children cannot take care of them, they deposit them in a home for the aged, they call it facility, to be taken care of by other people, many times by Filipino caregivers. My two sisters are caregivers in the US. They've been there for 15 years, taking care of Americans who have been, some of them, abandoned by their children, entrusted to the facility. And well, both of them are already American citizens and they feel very much at home there. But, you know, it's painful for them to be taking care of people who are not even their own relatives. But in the Philippines, like that, no? Under one roof, you can have the lola, the lolo, the dad and mom, and then the children. That's access to wider support like extended family and friends. And then number three, tayo to. Kasama tayo. Ma'am, sir, lahat tayo. We can assure that the kid will have grit, resilience if we provide them with a positive nursery, school, and or community experiences.
Good afternoon.
Okay? Um, let's keep them muted. Resilience then. Let's talk about how to build resilience. It's very important because life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. Sabi ni Dr. Steve Maraboli. Here, okay, we've gone over this already. We have to teach our children resilience, grit and resilience, especially because of this crisis that we see, rise in suicide cases, depression, this being an age of instant gratification, the strong sense of entitlement they develop, a privileged mindset and narcissism. All these are contributing to the crisis that we see in society. So let's talk about 5 ways to build resilience inside the classroom, inside your Zoom room class, inside your module, when you design your module. Here are the 5. Number 1, promote reflection through literary essays or small group discussions. Make them read literature and make them reflect on those reading materials, on those literature, and make them do group discussions about those um, literary materials. For example, the author of this proposes a website where you can find many fantastic readings, literature that make the students reflect on great resilience of the characters that will make them understand better the meaning of resilience. And then you ask them questions like this: who is the hero in this story and why? And what challenge or dilemma did the hero overcome? What personal strengths did the hero possess? What choices did he or she have to make? And how did other people support the hero? And what did the hero learn? And how then do we use the same personal strengths when we overcome obstacles in our own lives? Can you share some examples? So these are, for example, questions that we can ask the students so that they spend time doing group discussion or personal reflection about those reading materials. And in the process, they realize, "Uy, this can apply to my life." One day, when I encounter this kind of difficulty, I can also apply that. Whatever subject we're handling, scientists, and their lives can be good examples of these characters. Mathematicians who lived a heroic life with um, perseverance can be used for this. Characters in literature, history, social studies, Philippine history, world history, there are all these characters that we can apply this principle. Number two, encourage reflection through personal essays. So yung kanina, ang nire-reflect nila is written by other people. Let's discuss them. This one naman, make them encourage them to do reflection and then make them write an essay. That's why sabi nila, one of the best activities or exercises you can make students do is write journal papers, daily journals where, for example, the gratitude journal, where every day they have to write on a journal 5 things that they can be thankful for that happened that day, every day. That makes them reflect. And that makes them realize life is not as bad as I feel it to be or as I think it to be. Because there are many things to be grateful for every single day. And I have that journal to prove it. 5 every day that I have been thankful for. So, you make them write about a person who supported you during a particularly stressful or traumatic time. How did they help you overcome this challenge? What did you learn about yourself? Write about a friend that you supported as he or she went through a stressful event. And what did you do that most helped your friend? So all these are reflection activities that if they do it right, they are learning. It's like inside them, they themselves are coming up with ideas on how they can develop resilience inside them. Or write about a time in your life when you had to cope with a difficult situation and what helped and hindered you as you overcame this challenge. What learning did you take away that will help you in the future? Okay? Well, we're going fast because we are down to the last 18 minutes. Anyway, as I mentioned to you, for those of you who are first time to join us here, you will be able to download this PowerPoint presentation from the Facebook page that I hope you, all of you who are in this group, have already tried to join. No? Here's another thing we can do to build resilience inside the classroom. Help children and also their parents learn from student failures. This is very important kasi ang mindset ngayon ng mga parents especially is pag bumagsak ang bata, it's their failure. So some parents today will do everything they can to help their children even if it means lulusob sa eskwelahan, hahanapin ng teacher at sasabihin, why did you fail my son in this? Teka muna, eh, I did not fail him. He failed himself. Siya ang gumawa ng he's the one responsible for the score he got, no? So, we need to teach parents, for example, that failure is okay. I mean, failure is not a bad thing. Sometimes it's the best lesson that the student badly needs to learn. That's why there is this fantastic article. You can access it when you download the PowerPoint presentation. It's okay if you cannot copy it. This is the title of the article: Why Parents Need to Let Their Children Fail. Because failure doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Some people, it's because of failures that they stood up and turned out to be the best persons they can possibly be. It's the attitude that we have towards failure that we have to work on. That when we fail, okay, we learn from it. Next time around, I have to do better. It's simply that. And then, okay, well, let's remove the covers here. How do we get the students to understand better failures? Create a classroom culture where failure, setbacks, and disappointment are unexpected and honored part of learning. Okay? So, um, this thing of, for example, I know a teacher, dinidisplay niya yung mga bagsak na test papers so people can either make fun or mapapahiya yung mga bata and they think, the teacher thinks, they will now resolve to do better next time because they don't want the shame campaign. They don't want to be embarrassed. I mean, no. The, those failures, in fact, are part of learning. Now they will have to be more careful and more, they have to study harder. Establish and reinforce an atmosphere where students are praised for their hard work, perseverance, and grit, not only for the grades and easy successes. Hold students accountable for producing their own work, efforts from which they feel ownership and internal reward. Okay, the others are for parents. And then, bring discussions about human resilience into the classroom. Sabi nga natin, kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan mo, there are characters, people, mathematicians, scientists that you can bring in to the discussion who can be role models of resilience. You're teaching social studies, may mga political leaders that we can talk about and highlight their resilience. Scientists, literary figures and characters, innovators, inventors, etc. Build supportive relationships with students. We mentioned this before. For education to be effective, it's got to be personal, a personal relationship. There's got to be personal dealings. Okay? We now reach the last, which is the empathy. According to, according to Dr. Michelle Borba, the world expert on empathy, she spent 10 years traveling around the world, visiting schools, interviewing parents on how they are developing empathy. But as we always did with grit and resilience, Jollibee commercial will have to do the introduction for empathy. Okay, so this video is for the lovers among you.
Lahat tayo naghahanap ng the one. Pero paano kung dalawa sila?
Congratulations.
Ang tagal na nung pinagsamahan namin ni Paul. All these years, he's always been there for me.
Paul!
Uy! Congratulations!
Natanggap ako! Favorite ko. Naku, nag-rush ako sa presentation ko.
Si Jay naman, bago lang sa buhay ko. Pero priority rin niya to make me happy. Thanks for the help and the burger.
Sure, basta ikaw. Ann, do you trust me?
Oo naman.
Surprise!
With Paul, iba ang naging connection namin. Kilalang kilala niya ako.
Oh, got your favorite.
Kay Jay naman, somehow mas nakilala ko ang sarili ko.
I look back and recall those days I had with you.
Naniniwala ka ba na sa dami ng tao dito sa mundo, may isang destined para sa'yo?
Oo naman. Actually, I'm looking at her.
Ewan ko sa'yo.
Ann, sa dami ng tao sa mundo, naniniwala ka ba na lahat sila may isang destined for them?
Ha? Bakit mo natanong?
Kasi ako dati, hindi. Until I met you. Ann, tara!
Ang hirap. Pero I think it's time for me to make a choice.
Hey. You okay?
Jay. First of all, I wanna thank you sa lahat ng ginagawa mo para sa akin.
Alam kong may kaagaw ako sa puso mo. I know he means a lot to you. And I understand kung hindi.
Oo. It means so much to me. But meron ka na rin lugar dito sa puso ko eh. And every day it grows bigger.
Handa na ako to let go of the past.
Aneurysm daw. The doctors tried everything pero he's gone. My son is gone.
That was 4 years ago. I think it's time.
You mean you're ready to love again?
Ready to love you.
You gave me all the reasons to live. Once I've learned to love again.
Ready ka na?
Huh? Wait lang. Huwag mo ko iwan.
Never.
Okay. That's Jollibee Yumburger. Okay. But here's something I need to let you know, and we have to be aware of it. The way these young people today look at love is totally different from how the older generation of people looked at love. That's why you have more and more cases of dahil nakipag-break ay gusto nang mag-suicide or talagang nag-suicide na, tinuloy, no? Bakit ganon? Teka, may 7 billion people to choose from. Hindi. Parang the way the environment, the way media now, the way culture depicts love now is totally different from the way it was before. It's like as if love has become like the premium, first and foremost important value in life. Yeah, it is, pero no. I mean, there are other bigger things in life than just that girlfriend-boyfriend relationship than just that relationship between the two persons. So, ibang klase. And that's why if you have a student one day who comes to you feeling depressed because of a breakup with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, uy, seryoso yan. The fact that he or she opened up to you, he is entrusting a very important secret or a very intimate thing to you. Listen and then give the best advice that you can possibly give. Don't just dismiss him as, oh, wala yan. Forget about it. Mag-aral ka na lang ng P6 exam natin for next week. I mean, we need to realize that for these young people, may ibang level ang love compared to the way the older generation has looked at relationship. So empathy is very important. Well, that video really captures more the idea of resilience. Ano? She managed to move on only after 4 years. At least she moved on. She went forward. So now we go to empathy, and this is the last, and we are down to our last 14 minutes or so. Here are signs of empathy. Kailan mo masasabi na ang tao ay may empathy? Well, people with empathy are able to say this. You look upset. Kaya nilang magbasa ng emotions of people. Or when they say, I understand how you feel. Empathizing, sympathizing. I'm sad that you got hurt. They're able to share feelings of other people. Or, alam mo, nangyari rin sa akin yan dati. That happened to me once. It makes me feel sad for you. Yan, kaya nating makiramdam with other people. My heart is racing. I feel like I want to. You're able to share that excitement, that joy with somebody. So it's not just about negative feelings. Or when the person is able to say, I'm happy for you. I bet it hurts a lot. It happened to me. Or here is when we can say the person has empathy. When they're able to notice when people are hurting and feel for them. Nung pagka naiiyak sila when they see someone crying. That's sharing that feelings. Walking up to console others in pain. Or to comfort another because they understand the person's hurt. Or they feel excited for others when they win. They wince when they see the hero get hurt at the movies. Or they talk soothingly to those who are in pain as a way of consoling them. And they're able to mirror the facial expressions of the distressed person. So those are all signs of a person having empathy. May tatlong steps tayo to develop empathy. Okay? Michelle Borba suggests 3 steps to take if you want your students to develop empathy. Umpisahan natin sa number 1. Don't copy because we are going to go each one of them one by one, slow motion. Sorry. Okay, so step number 1, foster awareness and build an emotional vocabulary. That's very important. They will be more sensitive if they have rich vocabulary of emotions. That's why one of the first things we need to do is to build their vocabulary. For example, tingnan niyo itong page 1 of list of emotions. Siyempre, maliit ang letters. Lakihan natin. Let's zoom in. The first upper half, the upper 1/3 of that dictionary. And look at those emotions. Tayo mismo, how much of these emotions do we know? And do we know how to detect in other people? Can we check or can we say when the person is agitated, alarmed, fatigued, cynical, glad, disappointed, discouraged? Let's go to the middle half of that page. Can we detect if a person is calm, caring, cautious, cheerful, disgusted, grouchy, guilty, happy, hassled, hateful, helpless? Ang dami, no? You realize, ang dami palang emotions. And the more of these the young people understand, then the more they are going to be sensitive in seeing this in other people. And then the lower one-third part of that page one. Page one pa lang tayo ng vocabulary. Okay? Ang dami. And I repeat, the more of these the young people know, can detect, can sense, then the more sensitive they will be. Alam nila if the person is embarrassed, encouraged, enraged, enthused, exasperated. Then let's go to page 2. You see, meron pang page 2 of the vocabulary. Let's look at the upper one-third of the page. You see all those so many emotions, vocabulary of emotions. Queasy. Yan, alam natin ibig sabihin, yung parang hindi mapakali at hindi comfortable and okay? Lazy, leery, unsafe, feeling unsettled, feeling upset. And finally, the last part, the lower one-third of that second page of the Dictionary of Emotions. I mean, it's just a listing of vocabulary of emotions. So one strategy of Michelle Borba is play charades game with the kids. They have to act out one of these emotions. Well, they will not be able to act it out if they don't know what it means. That's a way of building their vocabulary of emotions. Okay, that's step number 1. We will be able to make them more sensitive if they know more of the different words to describe emotions, feelings. Step number 2, enhance that sensitivity. Sensitivity. Here are, for example, 6 simple ways to nurture the sensitivity of the kids to the emotions of other people. Number 1, praise sensitive, kind actions that has been performed by the student inside the classroom or done by a character in literature, or you're talking to your students and you're telling them, class, please study hard, study very hard. It's very important so that you pass next week's test. And if you see your brother studying, then respect it. Don't disturb that brother of yours. When you don't disturb him, that is a very kind thing to do to your brother who is studying hard. So you're praising an advice. You're praising something that you want your students to do. Number 2, show the effect of sensitivity. Okay? Show, for example, how because you were sensitive towards the feelings of other people, you refrain from teasing that person. And then you tell the class, you see the effect? He did not feel bad. He did not get angry. And he did not explode in frustration because you did not tease him. That's why we have to make sure we don't tease other people. The effect of sensitivity, the effect of our actions can sometimes strengthen that sensitivity. Draw attention to nonverbal feeling cues. Make the young people know that sometimes emotions are expressed not through words, but through nonverbal cues. Like when you see the person with clenched fist, ay, already naiinis na yan, galit na yan. Stop teasing, stop making fun of him, stop the joke, stop pulling his leg, stop being sarcastic. Yan. Kasi non-verbal feeling cue yung clenched fist or namumula na yung bata. Parang gusto nang umiyak. Those are non-verbal feeling cues that if people are more sensitive to them, then we will be more sensitive to what we do. We are more careful about what we do. Number 4, ask often, how does he feel? How do you think the person feels? In that way, you are forcing the students to put themselves in the place of that person and try to, ano kaya ang pakiramdam niya ngayon? Nagtawanan ng buong class because of his mistake. Ano kaya ang nararamdaman niya? Uy, masama. I will not join the laughter. I will not contribute to making fun of him. Use the formula feels plus needs. Every time a person feels something, there is a need that corresponds to it. Our feeling of sadness, there is a need of being consoled. A feeling of happiness, there is a need of sharing it and the others sharing that joy with us. The feeling of anger, there is a need there. Either it is the need to be understood so that you therefore stop laughing at me. Anger has a corresponding specific need that will address that anger and share why you feel the way you do. When we share our feelings and then explain to the class why we feel that way. Class, I'm really upset right now after checking the papers, and there were so many of you who failed. I feel very bad because, Jan, you're sharing why you feel the way you do. I'm so happy after checking the papers because I see some of you who were doing poorly last time, you really caught up this time. This is fantastic. When you do that, we are um, honing the sensitivity of our students to feelings of other people. Well, there are many factors, 9 of them, that develop empathy. And so each of these we will have to look into closely if we are to develop empathy among our students. Age, for example, the younger the kids, the less empathy they have. But as they grow older, they're expected to have more empathy. Gender, sabi nila, women are trained more to be sensitive to feelings of other people, etc. Um, well, we will not get into how to develop each one of them. So it's enough that you know that may factors that develop empathy. 5 fun ways to help kids read nonverbal emotions. Kasi nonverbal cues are important, no? And being able to read nonverbal cues is a way of developing empathy in them. Therefore, it's good to know some of these fun ways to help kids read nonverbal emotions. I mentioned feeling charades earlier. And then nandyan yung halimbawa, make them cut out from comics. Comics in newspapers, comics in comic books, different moods, characters that display different moods. Happy, sad. I mean, the list that I showed you earlier, they can choose from there. Excited, exasperated, angry, frustrated. In that way, they become more sensitive. Ganito pala ang hitsura ng galit na tao, ng exasperated, ng exhausted, it helps them develop sensitivity. Read with feeling. It's a fun way, make a student read Jack and the Beanstalk angry. Now, let's listen to the story of Jack and the Beanstalk read happily, read sadly, read show frustration as you're reading Jack and the Beanstalk. That is funny, making the students laugh a lot, but at the same time, it's teaching them, you see, may certain tone ang specific feelings. They always come hand in hand. Number 4, watch silent TV. Show them a TV show, turn off the volume, and then make them guess. Now, ano sa palagay nyo ang pakiramdam ng character na yan? Sumisigaw na siya. Bumunot na ng barel. Papatayin na yung kalaban niya. Anong feeling yan? Anong level of frustration yan? Anong level of anger yan? So, the watching silent TV as a way of making the students more sensitive to the feelings of others. And then being able to read nonverbal emotions. Hold a feeling lookout. Sometimes you tell the students, go to the window And then, oh, look at that man walking in red shirt. Ano sa palagay niyo ang kanyang pakiramdam? Masaya? You think he just got a new job kaya ganyan siya maglakad? Or you think he was not accepted in the job he applied for kaya ganyan siya maglakad, mabagal, nakababa ang ulo, mukhang malungkot? Sensitivity is developed with this holding a feeling lookout. Okay, so that's number 2. Now we go to the last. Develop empathy for another person's point of view. And this is the last before we wrap up this afternoon's session. For example, Dr. Borba gives here 3 simple ways to increase children's ability to take a different perspective. Kasi yun daw yung third step, to be able to develop empathy among them. Put themselves in the point of view of another person. Okay, here are the 3 example activities you can do. Switch roles to feel the other side. For example, you make the students do a debate. Okay? Yung isa pro, yung isa con. And then surprise them at the end of the exercise. Now take the opposite view. We will do again the debate, but this time baliktad ang role. Kayo naman ang when you do that, the switching roles, switching sides, then they start thinking, ay oo nga, ganun nga ang perspective ng other group. Or making them act out a scene where 2 persons are fighting, for example, arguing, and then you make them change roles. And then they have to think of, how did my opponent think when he was making up the arguments. Number 2, walk in my shoes. Sometimes sa reporting, for example, instead of just making the students, okay, ikaw report on Thomas Edison, ikaw report on Marie Curie. Instead of just simply telling them to report, you tell them, okay, Joanna, next meeting, mag-a-attend ka ng class like as if you are Jose Rizal, and then you're going to deliver a report, okay? It's not a report about Jose Rizal. You pretend you're Jose Rizal and make us feel, understand how he felt, and making people walk in my shoes, in their shoes. If you were in my shoes, if you were in my place. Finally, number 3, imagine how the person feels. Just make them imagine. It's an exercise that develops sensitivity in them. So all these are supposed to develop empathy. Okay, we talked about this. Instead of just disciplining, you use moral lesson. And this is an example of that, applying empathy as a way of disciplining, or as a way of imposing sanctions. Finally, I have been talking about Michelle Borba. She authored 27 best-selling books on character formation, and I brought her to Manila 4 times already to give conferences. One of her books is this, Building Moral Intelligence, just to show you the 7 crucial virtues if you want your kids, your son, your daughter, your students to grow up with empathy, with moral intelligence, with grit, resilience, and empathy. The 3 foundational virtues are this: empathy, conscience, self-control. And from these 3 will follow the 4 others: respect, kindness, tolerance, and fairness. Those are, for Michelle Borba, the 7 essential virtues. Okay? So what you can do is continue reading on this so that we are able to teach them to our students. Okay, let me now wrap up and end. As Aristotle taught, people do not naturally become morally excellent or practically wise. They become men and women of character if at all, only as a result of lifelong personal and community effort. This is the purpose of this one whole week seminar that we had. I need all of you, dear teachers, to work together. Let us all work together so that these young people can still grow up to be men and women of character in spite of the generation, in spite of the environment, in spite of the bad examples that they see in politics, in public service, in media. In spite of all this, we can still produce men and women of character if we all work as a team, work as a community. Character is destiny. This book by Samuel and Pearl Oliner, entitled The Altruistic Personality, in-interview nila yung mga taong nagligtas ng mga Jews during the Nazi Holocaust persecution, where 6 million people died because of Hitler. 6 million. But there were many people who saved Jews. In-interview nila itong mga to, asking them, why? Why did you save people? Why did you rescue Jews? Ang sagot nilang lahat, all of them, said, because that was how our parents raised us. Because that was how our teachers raised us. Somebody's in need of help? Let's help. Somebody's life is in danger? Let's save. That's why character in the end can be a matter of life and death. It's worthwhile. And I invite you, sabi ko nga again and again, this seminar we have this week is nothing else but an invitation to all of you. Let us be the best teachers we can possibly be kasi kailangan tayo ng ating mga kabataan. Kailangan tayo ng next generation of people. And then, we want them to work on their marriages. Enough of this, so many families breaking up. How can we do that? Character. It's not passion. It's character that will keep marriages together. It's character, therefore, that will save society. Because in a society where all families break up, that's a horrible society. That's not a good society. So what will save that? Character. When people are going to know what it means to have perseverance, to have resilience, grit, and empathy. Okay? Well, I will have to end as I always inform our participants. Email to request for your certificate, catalystpds@gmail.com. There's a request to rerun some of these seminars. Well, I have agreed to rerun on January 21 and 22 the first two seminars, the Stop Teaching and Start Evangelizing, and Teach Like Jesus. I'm going to do a rerun of those two on January 21 and 22. Watch out for the announcements in our Facebook page. And those of you who are not yet there in the Facebook page, please go there and join us. Catholic School Teachers Materials, because that's where you can download all the handouts, PowerPoint presentations that I used just now is already actually available there, ready for downloading. And that's where I will also post the link to the recording, where you can watch the recording of this talk. Somebody already posted it earlier there. Sir, ang hina ng Wi-Fi namin. No problem. You can click on the link as soon as I post it there, and you can watch whatever parts you missed kasi nawala ang internet nyo, na-log out ka, na humina ang globe signal, smart signal. Great. Well, it's already 5:09. If you have any question about the presentation, do email me in that catalystpds@gmail.com. And I hope it has been fruitful for you. I hope you have found it useful, and I hope you get some ideas. You don't have to do any of the strategies I gave. The message is simply, there are strategies out there for us to be better teachers, for us to be more effective. Okay? Is my friend Francis Perez still in the group? Because I will need your help. Um, no, he's not in the group. Okay, let us do our mandatory pictorials, class pictorials for the screenshotting of our um, Zoom room. May I request you to please turn on your videos, and then pretend that you are so happy. Give us your biggest, widest, fakest smile as I take pictures of everyone in the Zoom room. Page one first, in 3, 2, smile, and 1. Great. I go to page 2. Um, let's give our authentic smile this time. I hope you are happy that you have been able to attend this conference. And I'm going to take a picture now in 3, 2, and 1. And finally, page 3, because there are 60 plus of us. We needed 3 pages of this. Okay. Screens are open. And with that smile in 1, 2, and 3. Great. Thank you. Okay, we're done with the seminar. You can request for your certificates by emailing the catalystpds@gmail.com. I hope to see you again in our future seminars. I hope it has been worth your time. I hope some of the strategies are going to be useful for you. Okay?
Sir Rentoy.
Yes.
Very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What's
Thank you
that?
very
Is that
much.
pizza?
Jollibee.
Thank you,
Jollibee.
sir.
You're welcome.
God bless
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Father
I
Ian.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for a
also,
Thank you, Father
fruitful
Ian.
seminar.
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you po from USA, Naga.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you from Davao. From
Thank you from DepEd Masbate Province.
yes, I hope I'll see you
Camarines Sur.
there face to
Thank you,
face.
sir.
Camarines Sur.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
From
Okay.
Matanao, Davao del Sur. Thank you.
Okay. See you in the future. Okay. Hope to see you in our future
See
seminars.
you.
God bless
Thank you,
everyone.
sir.
Thank you, Sir Rentoy.
I will end the meeting in 5, 4, 3. Take care, everyone. 2. Healthy. Good luck, everyone. And 1.